Hello and welcome, Katie here. Thanks so much for joining me on the Imagine Crafts YouTube channel. Today I've got a really simple Father's Day card and something a little unexpected to help stretch our supplies. So we're going to hop down real quick and go through everything we're going to use. We got some VersaFine Clair inks. We're going to do Bali Blue, Warm Breeze, and Paradise. We might throw in a little bit of Twilight, but we'll see how it goes. And I'll probably end up using it just for the letters. The unexpected background stamp we're going to use is a holiday one. It's the Poinsettia background from Simon Says Stamp. And what's cool is that when we ink this up, it really will just look like a geometric type pattern. Great for masculine cards. We're going to throw a frame around it once we get everything inked up. This is the, let me see if it's on here. I can't think of the name of what it is, but it'll be linked down below. What I do know is it's like the classic crimped frames, something like that. I don't believe that it's available anymore, but I've got one from the Greetery that I'll link up for you down below. And I'm going to use this Happy Father's Day sentiment. This is the Better Press Plates, the Ideal Moments. You don't need, I'll do a separate video on this, but I hot foiled this, but you don't have to have anything fancy to use these plates. You can simply use them with ink. No better press system. You can use your stamp positioner tool and some double-sided adhesive to hold it onto your acrylic plate for your stamping. And you can easily use those plates for that. So you don't need anything fancy. You don't need the better press system. You don't need the foiling system. But if there's better press plates that you like, I would encourage you to get them and try them. I'll do a separate video on that because that's not what today's video is about. So white cardstock, going to use that. Dad die cut, any alphabet's going to work. This happens to be from Cat Scrappiness, the upper and lowercase condensed alphabet. And then we're going to throw a little sheer shimmer stick in frost on top of our inking. So, and I've got a blending brush. So let's get started, because this is really fast. This is one thing that I love about it. I do have some sticky grid here down in my stamp positioner. And you could easily do this with your stamp wheel. You just want to take, if you know you're used to the stamp wheel, take your acrylic or your sticky mat out of there to be able to get your rubber stamp in there. So I'm going to actually come up about that high. I think that's safe. Excuse me. Okay. So I'm going to use 3 colors, kind of like a small gradient. It's not going to be anything like super duper noticeable, but I've got Bali Blue we're going to start with. And you could always do this in one color. And we're kind of doing a monochromatic theme. We're going to be using a series of all blues to create, this is Warm Breeze, to create this. And, you know, I know a lot of people struggle with doing masculine cards. So if you break it down by just using a color theme, it can make it a lot easier. And using more masculine colors or neutral colors, that can help too. All right, so you know what? I'm going to straighten my paper out a little bit here real quick. And if I didn't mention it, because I can't honestly remember if I did, that little piece of tape that's on the platform here is just some Sizzix sticky grid to hold it down. If you got any kind of like double-sided Post-it tape, that works too. Just something that's low tack to hold our paper in. Give it some pressure. There we go. That looks nice, doesn't it? Okay, so we're going to keep this in place, and then we're going to take our sheer shimmer stick. And the reason I'm going to put a frame around this is because, as you can see, this is really busy. And even when we put our letters on to spell out Dad, and of course this is a great way to make a personalized card. with somebody's name. This is a good chance to do that with too. Is because your eye still wants to go all over the place. So by putting a frame on it, it allows us to focus in on the center and what we want our eye to really look at without taking away from the background. Now, slide you over a little bit so you can see a little bit more. I'm really dabbing this on. This is a dauber, so I don't find that using this particular item where I can scrub it that useful. Takes me forever. But what I found is that by really, you can kind of hear it knocking on the stamp. Doing it that way, it really gets the ink in the sheer solution, as we'll call it, to come out. So don't be afraid to hammer that down if you got one of these things. All right, and it's super subtle. We got to let that dry some. I don't know if you can see the shimmer. Let me see if I can angle it. Probably the glare from my cameras. Let me lift it up out of there. Let's see if that helps. There we go. Simple, subtle, but even dad's like a little shimmer, right? Okay, so I was going to clean that off, but we'll just set it off to the side for now. Now, our VersaFine Clair is already dry, but our, you can see that, although, you know, I got to do my ink blending for my letters, so you see how with the frame on there, it kind of brings you in a little bit. Okay, so we are going to set that off to dry. We're going to take our blues again. Going to take a blending brush. We're going to get our letters. Get a rag. Get some of this ink off. And we're going to start ink blending. Now this is where I might bring in some of the twilight to deepen up the blues. Now you could easily cut this out of some cardstock, blue cardstock, save yourself the trouble. But I wanted it to coordinate a little bit better than just having a solid blue cardstock. So using the same inks that I use to ink up helps to achieve that. So get them all in. Get them done a little faster. All right. Okay, that one was Bali Blue. We're going to come in with some Warm Breeze. Once we get all these colors on, they're going to dry back. So what you see here is pretty strong and bold, but it will soften and dry back once the ink absorbs and dries into the paper. And a little trick, you see my hands are kind of getting blue here from all this ink. The one thing I found to get this quickly off your fingers is Clorox bleach wipes. Not great for the skin, but it really does quickly take the ink right off, and then you can just go wash your hands with soap and water. All right, and I think I'm really liking the way this one turned out. Oops, sorry for the screeching. Probably should get a little mat to put those on. I think I like this blue, the way these turned out. So I'm going to leave it. Things that I'm going to add to the back of this while we're still letting our panel dry is some strips, foam strips. These are just like 1/8 of an inch strips. If you get something a little wider, you could use that too. But I found these very adequate. All right, and now we are back because you didn't need to see all that. One last little strip. We're going to put on the, oh no, you know what? I'm going to keep that flat. Okay, so generally I like to use double-sided adhesive when I'm, adhering my layers and panels down. But in this instance, oh, you know what? I want to trim this up too. In this instance, I'm going to use some liquid glue because I need to have room to center this and get it lined up correctly. But I do need to trim a little bit of this off. Let's line this up and make sure everything's not too short. We can take a little more. Let's take a little off the other side. Fluted. That's what it was. Classic fluted frames from Spellbinders. They've been around for a few years now, but I don't think they carry them anymore, and I haven't been able to locate them on shops and stuff, so the ones from the Greetery is what I'll link up for you guys because they're very similar. Okay, perfect. Now, we need a handy little tool. Oh, we're going to get a magnet as well. This is from a great little magnet block from Glassboard Studio. I'm just going to put that on the edge because I need to keep that straight. Straighten our panel out. We're going to put our not that that's really holding that plastic down, but it keeps me from having to put my hand on it. Okay, let me look at the screen. That looks good to me. Alright. Sometimes when you're lining, at least for me, when I'm lining stuff up, I have to take a step back and look at it and make sure that my placement is really where I want. And too often, I don't do that. And I end up screwing it up. Okay. Now, what's great about this design is you can use any combinations. Reds, yellows, orange, pink, pinks and reds, pinks and purples, pinks, blues, purple. This is a great background to be able to use any type of color combination. Now I gotta think and make sure again. To be able to create this. So it really does make it a universal stamp to have in your stash to be able to do quick and simple backgrounds like this. Think of Valentine's Day. You could spell out the word love there or even like block it. Now, use whatever alphabet you have, right? This I needed a bigger alphabet design because I needed to be able to take up more space, right? I want the dad to be the focal part. But you know what I mean. There's different, you can do different layouts. You can block it, make it a square with what you're spelling with 4 letters, all kinds of stuff. We're almost done. It's just 1/8 of an inch piece of double-sided adhesive. I thought about popping this up, but I decided against it. I thought that keeping the dad popped up, you could put it up here if you wanted. I'm going to opt, I think, and put it down here. Not bad. Right? Pretty simple, straightforward, nothing complicated. And now we're going to put some double-sided adhesive. This is 1/2 inch on the back here. And adhere it to our card panel. Card base, rather. And then this card will be done. With the exception of popping up the letters on with some foam, this could be a simple 1-layer card. You don't even have to pop those up if you don't want to. All right, friends, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Be sure and check the description box below for all the products used. And I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had a fantastic day, and I'll catch you in the next video.